All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating concept, a dual-layer security platform that's designed from the ground up to defend the defenders themselves. So let's explore how this double shield actually works.
And this is really the central question we're tackling, isn't it? When the battlefield is literally everywhere, it's on our phones, in our networks, the old school lines of defense just don't cut it anymore. The very people who protect us are now high-value targets in a completely new kind of war.
So first things first, let's get a handle on the landscape. We're talking about a new digital battlefield, one where the threats, well, they're invisible, but they are just as dangerous as any physical threat. And they're targeting not just active soldiers, but veterans and their families too.
This is the crucial point to understand. The threat doesn't stop at the military base or on official channels. Nope, it follows personnel right into their homes, into their personal lives and private conversations, basically turning their families into part of the front line. Adversaries know this is a potential weak link, and they exploit it.
So what does this digital assault actually look like? Well, the kinds of threats are probably familiar, but here, they're weaponized. We're talking about phishing scams that are expertly crafted to steal military credentials. We're talking social engineering that manipulates people and fake calls designed to trick them into giving up sensitive information. It's a relentless, multi-front attack.
So, how in the world do you fight back against all that? Well, the first part of the solution is what we'll call Shield 1. The idea here is to build a fortress for communication, an absolutely impenetrable channel where sensitive conversations can happen safely. At its heart, Shield 1 is a secure messaging app. But, and this is a huge but, unlike the apps you and I use every day, this one is built from the ground up for a single purpose, to provide a confidential, totally closed-loop, and tamper-proof environment just for the defense community.
And this is where the difference becomes crystal clear. A standard app might have OK encryption. This platform, it uses military-grade end-to-end encryption. Instead of public servers, it's running on a defense-controlled VPN. And the whole philosophy here is total containment. You can't forward messages, you can't export data, you can't even take a screenshot.
Okay, let's look at the controls that make all this possible. The VPN encapsulation, that doesn't just hide the message, it hides who is even talking to whom. Biometric login, that's a no-brainer for securing access. But the two real game changers here are the AI, which is actively hunting for threats inside the messages, and the blockchain ledger. This creates an unchangeable, mathematically secure record of every single interaction. It's basically accountability by design.
But look, secure messaging is only half the battle, right? What about all the threats coming from the outside through something as simple as a phone call? That is where Shield 2 comes in. Think of it like an early warning system, a digital watchtower that's constantly scanning the horizon for telecom attacks.
So what is Shield 2? Essentially, it's a super powerful data analysis engine built on Microsoft Azure. Its one and only job is to constantly sift through millions of call records in real time, hunting for those telltale signs of fraud before any damage can actually be done.
Let's just walk through how this pipeline works. It all starts with simulated data, to train the system. Then it starts taking in massive streams of real call data. The real magic happens at step 3, where an analytics engine starts looking for weird patterns, like, say, one number making hundreds of calls in just a minute. The system then flags that activity, and finally, it visualizes all the alerts on a live dashboard for an operator to see what's going on. Now, having two strong shields is great, but the real power comes from locking them together. This is where we go from having two separate solutions to one unified layered defense system.
The core idea is summed up perfectly right here. It's not about choosing one shield or the other. It's about integrating them so that the whole thing becomes way more powerful than the sum of its parts. And this is exactly how they connect. When the fraud detector, that's Shield 2, flags a suspicious phone number, that alert doesn't just sit on some lonely dashboard. It gets fed directly into the command and control interface of the secure app, Shield 1. This gives commanders real-time intelligence, letting them warn their personnel about a potential threat as it's actually happening.
So what does something like this even cost? You might be thinking it's astronomical. But let's look at the breakdown for a starting version and MVP. You can see the components are mostly established cloud tech from Azure, plus specialized tools like Hyperledger for the blockchain piece. Each part has a pretty clear, manageable monthly cost.
So when you add it all up, you get a total estimated monthly cost that's surprisingly low, between 15 and 25,000 Indian rupees. And this is really the key takeaway on feasibility.
We're talking about state-of-the-art security for a tiny fraction of the cost of traditional defense projects. It makes a solution like this both practical and totally achievable.
Okay, so let's put it all together. Let's talk about the real-world impact and why a system like this truly matters, beyond just the cool tech.
The key takeaway is this: it's a proactive, multi-layered system. It doesn't just sit back and react to attacks, it actually anticipates them. The use of blockchain gives you that unbreakable chain of evidence, while the cloud and AI allow it to scale and adapt. It's a direct countermeasure to the most common digital threats out there, and it's a massive upgrade to overall cyber resilience.
And ultimately, this is the most important point. This whole system, it's not just a technical exercise. It's about people. It's about giving the men and women in our defense forces and the families who support them a safe harbor in this crazy digital world, a place where they can connect without fear.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As our world gets more and more connected and the threats get more sophisticated every day, you have to wonder, is this kind of integrated, intelligent, multi-layered approach not just a good idea for defense, but maybe the essential future for securing all of our critical infrastructure? Something to think about.